I'm going to stitch the yellow one because it's quite nice. You can see the stitch quite well on that, and this is how they come packaged. All you need is a pair of scissors. I have quite a few to choose from. I'm going to go for these neon ones. So in your box you will find a little postcard. That's kind of just a little extra. We like to include these. And it just shows you what the design should look like when you're finished. And then you've got your instructions, which tell you everything you need to know, everything you should have, and the stitches. And then we've got our printed fabric, thread, the hoop and the back that will finish it off later, your needle, and then this wadding pads it out and makes it look really cushioned and plush and lovely at the end. So I've just given my fabric a bit of an iron to get the creases out of it, and then you're going to place the smaller hoop on the table, lay your design over the top, and then the bigger hoop goes over that. You're just trying to get this design in the centre. That's the trickiest bit. It looks kind of central to me. And then you tighten the screw. So now I'm going to take my thread. I've got about 40 to 50 centimetres of thread, and I'm going to use my needle. But first of all, we need to split the thread. So each strand of embroidery thread is made up of 6 strands, and we want to use 3 strands. So I'm pulling apart the thread into half and pulling 3 strands away from each other. And if you do that fairly slowly, it shouldn't get tangled, and you end up with the 3 strands that you want to thread your needle with. Now we give you a needle that is quite large, so at the end and thread your needle. So you want to leave this little tail loose and tie a knot in the other end. Don't double it up. So now we've threaded our needle, we can start stitching. So this is called split back stitch, and it's a lovely stitch. It's very easy. I started with a single back stitch of about 2 to 3 millimeters long, and then I'm coming up behind that stitch and then going back down through the previous stitch. So every time you're stitching a stitch that's about 2 to 3 millimeters long, but the stitch starts at the top as you come up through the fabric and then finishes as you go down and split the previous stitch. So you're always splitting the previous stitch, and the technique is to fill the printed pattern with your stitches, so you're building up lines of stitching so that you cover the printed design and you create this lovely textured stitched finish. So this might take me 2, maybe 3 times round to cover it, and then if I show you the finished sample, you can see with the eyes, I started on the outside, then kind of gradually made my way in, just using rows and rows, and you just build up these rows to cover the printed design, and that is the technique. So once you've finished your happy face, we've given you a cardboard circle that goes in the back and some wadding. And the way you do it is just trim your fabric around the edge so that you've not got any bulky kind of corners, and then you cut the wadding to the size of the backing disc. That little circle of wadding goes in here, then you push the fabric down, and then the cardboard just slots in the back like that, nice and tightly, and just makes it look very lovely and finished and professional, and you don't have to faff around with stitching the back. So you're all done.